What's up guys, and welcome back to the lore and history of the X series. In the last episode we talked about the ancients and the Sonans and what the outcome of the Great War was. Now we will be jumping forward to 1969 to delve into the development of Earth and humanity, their goals and their desires, as well as what happened during the trials and tribulations of building Jumpgate, launching Project Winterblossom, and lastly the Terraforming project. I briefly mentioned in the last episode that we will be talking about how Earth's Jumpgate technology impacted the ancients, but there was so much info on Earth and their story that I'll have to put it into episode 3 instead. I just want to say thank you for your unbelievable feedback in the first episode. These episodes are very fun to make, so on that note, let's get started. 1969. In 1969, Neil Armstrong and Edwin Buzz Aldrin were the first humans to set foot on a celestial body other than their home when they stepped onto the surface of the moon. 1992. In 1992, Professor Eugene Podkletnov and Professor Nieminen from the University of Tampa, Finland, discover a way to shield gravity. The measured effect is very small. Objects lose only about 0.2% of their weight, but it shows the way forward. The scientists are disrespected for their work and the results are withdrawn from the public. 1999. During 1999, NASA's Breakthrough Propulsion Physics program investigates and confirms the results. However, this is not made public. At the same time, the Japanese economical crisis is building up and the first Japanese banks crash. 2007. In 2007, the Japanese economy is at its lowest point and most of the richer Japanese people flee to other countries. Also, the International Space Station becomes fully operational. 2011. In 2011, quantum computers begin dominating the market, nanotechnology advances to near practical usability, and Japan slowly starts recovering from its economical crisis while becoming Earth's center of technological research and science. 2022. In 2022, the Japanese language, besides English, has now become one of the most important languages in the world, and the preferred language of science. It is also at this point that a man named Ashizawa Kazuko accidentally discovers the Jumpgate principle. Right, now that we're at the stage of Jumpgate principle, I will go into a little more detail about this. As I said, a student at the University of Tokyo known as Ashizawa Kazuko accidentally discovers the Jumpgate principle while doing other theoretical research. According to Einstein, wormholes could be only microscopic in size, and nothing could travel through them faster than the speed of light. Kazuko's work showed the exact opposite. Naturally, skepticism was rife. Never before had Einstein's theories been proven wrong, let alone by a mere student, and yet the doubters were soon silenced when repeated experiments showed the reality of the case. Ashizawa Kazuko was right, and Einstein genuinely mistaken. It was indeed possible to travel faster than the speed of light with infinite energy. The principle of the tunnel jump had been established. 2024. In 2024, the first experiments with small artificial singularities show practicability of the Jumpgate principle. Experiments went on throughout the early 21st century, and initially, small inanimate objects were sent through the tunnels from Earth to the Moon. After this was a success, living creatures were used. 2036. In 2036, the first 2 large space Jumpgates are finished and tested between Earth and Mars's orbit. Following the success of these experiments in 2042, 2 huge Jumpgates were built, one of which was initially shipped to Mars for continued experimentation. 2037. In 2037, one of the Jumpgates is sent to Alpha Centauri, scheduled to arrive approximately 78 years after launch. This short transit time could be achieved only because the gate did not carry its own fuel. Instead, the fuel was supplied through the gate itself. 2041. In 2041, 70 years before it was due to arrive at its destination, contact with a remote Jumpgate was lost. Almost a year after increasingly frantic research, the Earth Gate once again made contact with a remote Jumpgate. However, it is not with the gate aboard the transport vessel, but rather an unknown gate in a distant region of the Milky Way. Subsequent research proved conclusively that objects which had for many years been taken as black holes or neutron stars were in fact the quantum singularities forming the core of these alien jump gates. Utterly by chance, mankind had stumbled upon an entire network of these gates. It was an invitation that could not be ignored. 2042. By 2042 on Earth there are almost no international conflicts anymore, only national problems. Also, ecological problems are slowly getting under control. At this point, unmanned probes are sent from the Earth gate through the alien gates and the results are promising, but unsatisfying since the probes are not intelligent enough. As a result, the nations agreed to send a manned expedition through the alien jump gates as soon as possible. 2043. In 2043, the United Space Command, or USC, was created, and they start building the research spacecraft Winterblossom. Those involved with the Jumpgate project were all too well aware that the exploration of an alien Jumpgate network could have far-reaching consequences, including the very strong possibility of the first encounters with extraterrestrials. So the USC was created with a charter to protect the planet Earth from aliens, and equally as important vice versa. At the same time that the USC came into being, work began on the USC SS Winterblossom, Earth's first truly interstellar vessel. Her departure on a peaceful mission of research and exploration through the alien Jumpgate network was eagerly anticipated by a planetary population swept up in a frenzy of star fever, so preparations took place under unprecedented levels of pressure. 2045. In 2045, Winterblossom was launched and made her maiden voyage. A year later, she turned her face towards the stars, and from this point, contact was possible only via messenger drones, which carried recorded messages and their responses between the ship and Earth. Mere weeks before Winterblossom was due to return, contact was unexpectedly lost. After 6 months passed, a messenger drone finally arrived with the news that the crew and all hands were well, but the main computer had become disoriented and lost its way within the network. 2048. By 2048, Winterblossom returned to Earth after a 2-year journey which was 1 year longer than originally planned. The crew reported to have found a system of dozens or hundreds of alien jump gates, but no intelligent alien life forms whatsoever, and no hints thereof except for the gate themselves. But there seemed to be many planets that might be colonizable and or terraformed. A discussion among politicians suggested a budget for a space force in case of unfriendly alien contact. Also, the possibilities of terraforming was talked through. 2059. In 2059, the first ship of the new founded International Space Force, the USC, is stationed in Earth's orbit to protect the planet from possible dangers. Alien attacks are not publicly named as not to disturb the people. Nobody really believes in danger at this point except some paranoid military minorities. 2066. In 2066, the first terraformer fleet consisting of 6 robot ships leaves Earth, and every 3 years thereafter a new terraformer fleet leaves Earth. The first fleet left the solar system through Earth's jump gate to travel to Taurus. It had been selected for the first attempt at terraforming, both because of its proximity to Earth as it was just a single jump away, and also because its ecosphere was closely similar to that of Earth. It was expected that only a few modifications would be sufficient to prepare it for colonization. 2084. By 2084, the second terraformer fleet capable of self-replication leaves Earth. And from this point forward, each terraformer fleet would consist of up to 256 TF/CPU ships, 8,192 heavy bots, and over 200 million drones, all working to terraform a single planet. The second fleet left the solar system through Earth's jump gate, and its destination was another Earth-like world, discovered and named Aldrin many years before by Rene Farnham during the historic flight of the Winterblossom. While the second fleet was capable of self-replication, it, like its predecessor, remained under direct supervision of a human crew aboard its primary CPU ship. Unlike the previous crew, however, the engineers of this team were instructed to not interfere in the automated processes of the terraformers and merely to observe. 2094. By 2094, an increasing number of voices called for the cancellation of the entire terraforming project. It was argued that space-traveling machines capable of self-replication were a profound danger for intelligent life throughout the galaxy. and between 2094 and 2099, the chief engineer of the third generation TF CPU ship campaigned by pointing out economic and social benefit to mankind. He was ultimately able to persuade a number of experts to his cause, all of whom attested to the project's safety. His best efforts, however, were insufficient, and the world government's expert commission remained unconvinced. 2099. Finally, in 2099, shortly before the departure of the Third Fleet, an executive order was issued cancelling the project with immediate effect. Now, about a dozen of Earth-type planets have been terraformed by the First, Second and Third Fleets. At this point, the Terraformer project was terminated, and over 1 million people moved to settle on the new worlds, most notably Taurus, Perfect X, Sonra 4 and Aldrin. Then, disaster struck. Not all of the existing Terraformer fleets could be reached via message drones, and thus continued reproducing and terraforming. Nobody on Earth knows this. Also, by this point, worldwide unemployment is below 7%. There is no hunger anymore on Earth and no third world countries. Plus, everyone speaks a modern form of Japanese as their second or first language. Right, that's all we've got time for today, guys. In the next episode, we will be talking about the Terraformer War, also going into detail about the Argons, the Paranids, and the Teladi. Also, links are in the description for all of the information holders, and if you all enjoyed, then please hit that like button, subscribe, turn on notifications, and we'll see you in the next one. Peace!